So hello everyone, and thank you for joining. I know it's a bit early for most of you, but still thank you for making the time to join. And today, again, we're happy to meet Rania, who was with us for the open access training. And today we will start this session, the first of two sessions on open repositories, which is also a very important topic in open science. Yeah, so I think, Rania, the floor is yours. You can start.
Thank you, Lamis. And hello, everyone. Good morning to you all. And thank you for being here today. I know it's very early at your regions. So I'll start today by talking about the impact factor, because some of you have asked actually if I can give some information regarding impact factors and how they get calculated and why I personally am not so much into impact factor. So I'll start this by presenting a presentation, and then I will move on to talk about repositories. And if we could finish it, then well and good. If it's not, time wouldn't allow us to complete it today, then I will continue on our next session. So, and this is an interactive session, as you know. Just interrupting me whenever you feel the need to ask a question or to give a comment or things like that. So talking about impact factors, the impact factor is actually a measure, or people are using it now or nowadays as a measure of journal influence. And you can either call it IF, impact factor, or journal impact factor, and it's abbreviated as JIF. Both are the same measure. It's a scientometric index, and it's calculated by Clarivate. And this is important, okay? So it's supposed to reflect the yearly average number of citations to recent articles published in a journal. And people tend to use it as a proxy for the relative importance of a journal within its field. And this is problematic, actually. Historically, it was invented in the 1960s by the founder of the Institute of Scientific Information, the ISI. His name is Eugene Garfield, and he was a librarian. And he invented it to help librarians to choose the best journal in their disciplines, or in the disciplines they wish to add to their libraries. So the original purpose of inventing the IF was as a tool to help librarians. You got it? It's not for assessing the quality of the research, of the quality of the journal itself. So this is the original idea behind the IF. And as he said later on, he said that it's like a nuclear energy, a mixed blessing. You know, like he invented it for a good reason, but then people were commercializing it and we're using it in an extremely different way from what it was intended for. To know or to get a hint about how it's calculated, it's calculated like this. So if you wish, say, for example, to get the IF or a JIF for a journal for the year 2022, you calculate or you collect the number of citations in 2021 and add them, you collect them, you collect the citations from journal issues in 2020 and 2019, and then you divide this number by the number of articles that actually appeared in the journal in 2020 and 2019. So this is how it's calculated. It's a little bit, it's not the best statistical way to calculate a factor, I'm afraid. And the numerator in this function, it includes the citations to every single article that appeared in the journal over the course of those 2 years. But the denominator only includes certain types of articles. And I will take you through which type of articles in the next slides. So who published the IF or JIF? The JIF or the IF is annually published by the Journal Citations Report, and this is in bold font because I have something to do with that in the next slide. I just wanted to keep in mind the name, the Journal Citation Reports, and these are marketed as a commercial product. And this is again in red and bold. The IFs are calculated on the basis of the journals listed in the multidisciplinary citation database, Web of Science, and I'm quite sure all of you are aware of the Web of Science, from the so-called core collection. So a single collection that's called core collection, and the Web of Science is used to calculate the IFs, and the citation frequency is recorded in the database. So there is only a portion of the journals published worldwide are represented in the Web of Science. And that means the IF actually is considering only that portion. And even that portion is not all, I mean, it's not all considered. They only consider those under the core collection. So there is discrimination, you know, there's bias against a lot of journals published. The citation frequency is determined by the citations in the Web of Science database rather than all conceivable citations. And all of these has to do with Clarivate. I told you earlier that I wanted to keep in mind the name Clarivate, Web of Science, and the citation index. Why? The citation reports, because Clarivate is a business. It's a British American company. The revenue of 2022 was 2.66 billion US dollars, and the revenue has been accumulated based on these services. They provide these services and they got this revenue. The services are Web of Science, EndNote, Journal Citation Reports, and their rent. And again, you can see it. Clarivate, Web of Science, Journal Citation Reports. This is business. This is money. It has nothing to do really with the quality of research we're producing. The JIF cannot be calculated for a journal. I wanted to notice this. It's not being calculated for any journal younger than at least 3 years. So it should be in the Web of Science for at least 3 years. Think about it. Which of the journals, I mean, locally African published or in the South published journals are there for at least 3 years. This is biased again. It was originally developed, as I said earlier, to assist the libraries in selecting the best journals to subscribe to in their subject areas. It wasn't meant at all to assess the quality of the science or the research produced or your intellectual output. It wasn't developed as a tool to evaluate your academic journals. It's meant only to assist the librarians to choose which journal to use. There is a very long list of criticism points against IF among the community. And I'm just trying to highlight some of them. The first one is it should not be used to evaluate the research work of scientists and academics, and this is problematic. The majority of promotion committees in our universities and in our research communities uses IF as a measure to evaluate your research output. So if you, for example, supplied them with a list that contains, say, for example, 10 publications in non-IF journals, and your colleague has supplied them with another list with 10, same number of publications in journals that have high IFs, your colleague will definitely get promoted easier and earlier than you. So they are kind of like measuring you and your research output using this tool, which was actually developed to assist librarians choosing a journal to add to the library, not to assess you as a scientist or as a researcher. The second criticism regarding IFs is that the frequency with which articles are cited is not an indication of the quality of a journal. If you look at it, and the articles it contains, it's only an indication of a scholarly article's impact and not as a solid assessment of the quality of the results themselves. And here I can just remember something. It's about, okay, sometimes we cite a journal, we cite an article, not to say that this article was the best. Sometimes I would cite an article to say this contradicts my results, and others might do the same. So if this article gets cited, say, 1,000 times, that means in using this tool that it's the best, and that the scientist is a great one based on the IF, But this is not the truth, because when I cited this article, I cited it as a contradicting output or results to what I have got, and my other colleagues have done the same. So the cumulative, opinion of us as researchers is that this article doesn't worth it when all of us had results that contradicts what that article is saying. So if you use this IF to say that this is the best, then you are misleading people, And the other important thing in criticizing the IFs is that the journal citation reports with the journal impact factors for each year are always issued in the summer of the following year and are based on the 2 years that precede the reporting year, Like you're using all data to assess a current situation. So this is not logical. The JIFs also are statistically inappropriate. If you ask a mathematician, a statistician, they will tell you they are biased, they're not appropriate. They are not normalized across disciplines. And there's a problem here as well. If you look at the publications from, say, humanities disciplines, you will find lower number of publications, you will find different landscape, completely different landscape from those disciplines, from biological or biomedical or medical or archaeological, or every single discipline has its own landscape. And you cannot have the same measure calculated the same way for every single discipline. And without normalizing it, you need to normalize. You need to consider different disciplines and different landscapes. Okay. The fifth criticism is that the default citation window of 2 years is too short to judge the impact of publication in many disciplines. I, for example, have this article. It's cited more than 300 times today, but in the first 2 years of its publishing, it wasn't cited like that. It was about 80 something. So I got about 80 something citations. So you cannot judge the journal, Parasitology, for example, because these articles have been published or have been cited for 80 times only. Okay, you got my point? Am I clear? Is it okay? Are you with me? Everyone?
Yeah.
We are listening.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
thanks.
yes, we are
Because I
listening
felt
to you.
it's very quiet.
Well, we are listening.
Yeah.
We are listening
So-
keenly.
We are
Say
listening
again,
to
please.
you.
Say again, please.
So we are listening keenly to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, and the sixth criticism is that the GIF is susceptible to manipulation, you know? You can artificially boost it by citing your articles, your own articles. So say, for example, I'm publishing this article of mine and I have this board of editors and scientists working with me, and I like tell them to cite these articles. And then I will boost my GIF. So you can manipulate the GIF. The citation impact of a journal also depends on which types of documents it publishes. So if I'm publishing more reviews, for example, then I will get more citations because the majority of the community needs to the review papers or the review articles and use them to write papers. So I will get more citations and my GIF will get more boosted, you know. So the journals that publishes lots of review articles can increase their citations count and raise their impact factor. So these are just some of the criticisms. And this means that a GIF is not adequate as the sole metrics. We're not saying that let's just drop it. We're saying add other tools and add other matrices to select a journal. So it's not just leave it behind. No, no, no. We want you to add more tools and more matrices to evaluate a journal. And we want you not to use the IF as a suitable mean to evaluate the work of individual scientists and researchers, because it's not meant to evaluate researchers. It's not meant to evaluate academicians. It's only meant to help librarians to choose the correct journals to add to their shelves. So we want it to go back to its original function as a tool. And there are other citation-based matrices and automatrices, and I'm just giving some examples here. There are lots and lots and lots of them out there. There's Timago, Journal Rank, the SJR. People are using it more and more currently. There are the source normalized impact paper, the SNP. SNIPs, they are the H-index or H-index of authors and of institutions. You can use them, and there are the alternative matrices called alt matrices or alt metrics. There are a lot of other tools out there. People can depend on them and add them to the IF. But please don't use it. Don't use the IF to like measure the impact of a researcher, because it's not meant for that, especially if you're a member of a promotion committee. And there are lots of publishers that use alternative matrices. I'm just giving an example of them. PLOS One, the Public Library of Science is one of them. It's a big open access publisher. Wiley is a hybrid publisher. You've got them publishing open access, and they publish as well classical model publications. You have got Taylor and Francis. It's a hybrid publisher as well. So this is what I wanted to take you through concerning the IF. So if you've got any questions regarding this, it's just like touching on, highlighting things. And then if you've got any questions, any comments, and after that, I will move to talking about repositories. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Before we ask anyone ask question, I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Is about Dora and Cora. What are they exactly trying to do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Dora and Cora are trying to provide us with other alternatives to assess different intellectual outputs, okay, and different matrices. I'm sorry, I forgot about adding them, you know.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, and maybe in the next session, I will talk more in details about
Yeah.
both of them. They have different matrices. They are in support of the open access and the open science initiatives. So we can like depend on these tools more than the IF
Mm.
to measure the impact of articles or to measure the research output itself. I mean, the excellence of it. There are rubrics,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I need to go into the because I don't want to give you a misinformation. So I need to revise the rubrics, you know?
Yeah, no worries. But
Yeah.
I asked that because يعني I went into Dora and
Yeah.
I signed the declaration.
Yeah.
What I understand, like these websites like put out declarations and
Mm.
they ask people and institutions to sign them.
Yes,
And
exactly.
yeah, in Dora they have like a little map and you can visually see. Yeah, that's great. I've put the link on the website.
Yeah, I will do it.
Yeah, and you can see that
Declaration.
African countries are like those who signed it are very few,
Yeah.
few. So I think it's an important thing to consider. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even individuals. I think I was the only African individual who signed it a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So maybe we need like to spread the word
exactly.
about it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I will add it to the chat, the link to Dora. This is Dora.
Great. Yeah.
And to Cora. Cora, I will talk about it later on the, I will talk about Cora and different things. So
Perfect.
yeah.
So I think Pauline has a question. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please shoot. Paul?
Pauline, you can unmute and ask her question.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Pauline from Zambia.
Hello.
I'm Pauline from Zambia.
Hello, Pauline.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So just say I'm Pauline from Zambia. I work at Levi Manawasa Medical University. I'm so interested in this topic that we are looking at today. Actually, it reminded me of a conversation we had yesterday with one of my colleagues with regards to the quality of articles that are being cited. So now, if we are saying that the IF is not the best tool to evaluate scholarly articles, what would you recommend as the best tool, especially for medical articles, and just to promote medical staff?
The last tool, this last one, the SJR one, this is better than if you use it, it's better and more inclusive than the IF. If you wish to go to use classical, matrices. Otherwise, you can use the rubrics developed by Dora. And this is in the link that I have shared with you. And I think somebody else had also shared it earlier. The African Reproducibility Network itself, maybe Lamis, had also shared Dora. They have a rubric of tools to use to assess scientists and articles and things like that. They've been developing it for long years now, maybe 5-6 years ago, they started doing this. And I'll touch on it on next session in details if you wish.
Okay, I will appreciate.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the feedback.
Welcome. Any other comment? No comments? Should I continue?
Yeah, I think you could.
All right. Okay. So just for me to note, to remember, I'm adding a note to talk about it. So I'll move on now to start talking about repositories and open repositories. So what do we mean by saying repository? It's a free online collection of documents. And not oftenly it will be scholarly, but that's not a strict case, you know. Some repositories are not scholarly. I have been through some examples of repositories for photographs and for videos and for audios and for other types of documents. And so to start this, I will start sharing the presentation itself. And yeah, here we go. Do you know that it's a human right to have access to information? Anyone knows that?
Not really.
Okay.
Yes, I know it. I know that
Perfect.
everyone
Okay.
is the right to access to information.
Exactly.
That is very important.
Yeah, it's in the universe.
Scientific information.
Yeah, it's in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's Article number 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. So it's a human right. It's one of your human rights in the declaration, the UN Declaration. And this is the base around which the UNESCO and other entities are talking and wishing us to develop more openly repositories, open access, open science. All of these initiatives has to do with Article 19 and I think Article 27 as well. If I can remember correctly, the number of the article. So you can call them open repositories, or you can call them open access repositories. Both names goes. So what are these? Simply said, these are centralized digital storages. Okay, this is a very simple and very short definition of what is a repository or what a repository is. If I want to make it a bit longer, I will say it's a free online collection of documents, often scholarly. They provide free, immediate, and permanent access to knowledge. Okay, and when I say access to knowledge, I'm actually talking about why we have or we need open repositories. Because access to knowledge advances research and innovation. The access to knowledge improves our decision making because these becomes knowledge-based decisions. They are not just like fairy tales or something like that. And it exposes misinformation and is vital to achieving greater equality and justice. Say, for example, a medical doctor, I will take an example from Sudan because I know the geography there better. So if a medical doctor is stationed in a Junaina city, this is a very far-end city in the borders or near the borders between Sudan and Chad in Darfur. And there are lots and lots of incidences of snake bites there. The majority of snakes that bites people there are extremely venomous, highly venomous. People need to get immediate attention, medical attention. This medical doctor has never heard about snakes in the region, and we have such cases in Sudan. They doesn't know how to manage a snake bite. So what if he has access? This could be a life-saving access, you know? So the majority or a lot of them might use internet connection to get some information. But again, there is a barrier. There is the paywall barrier. The majority of articles published by classical publishers are actually paywalled. What should he do or she do? Another option is to go for an open access repository, right? And there again, he might struggle a little bit because he doesn't know which article to trust more than the other. There are some contradicting information. But maybe if he has an access to an institutional repository that's being built by and for researchers in universities, for example, or in research institutions, then he might trust the information there better than getting a Google based info, right? Am I correct? Can you see the scenario I'm talking about? So yeah, repositories had helped and facilitates a lot of this, like access to information, but to be a good, trustworthy repository that doesn't just duplicate other repositories, I need it to be an interoperable repository. Say, for example, I'm adding an article about snakebite management in a repository at the Toxic Organisms Research Center at the University of Khartoum. Other repositories should be able to copy or to get a copy of that one by being interoperable. All repositories should be interoperable, and they should use the FAIR data principles or practices I had already mentioned earlier. Findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable data, the technical terms I've talked about earlier. And to be interoperable, then you need these repositories to use a protocol called Open Archives Initiative for Metadata Harvesting Protocol. And this was developed very early, long time ago, at the Santa Fe Convention for the Open Archives Initiative, and this was in 2000, in the 15th of February 2000, and the initiative itself had been discontinued for a while now, so I'm talking about history now, but I'm just giving you some historical background about the OAI itself. At that meeting in 2000, there were concerns about what if archives, at that time there were not that much number of archives, there were very small number of repositories and archives. Basically, they were talking about the physics archive, and a very minute number of archives and repositories. But what if, and they were sure, they were positive, there will be loads and loads of repositories. So what if the archives would needlessly replicate each other's content? And how could the user access these repositories without having to learn a lot to access them or to use them or things like that? So they came up with this OAI PMH initiative or tool. It's a tool. And this protocol will allow repositories to copy content from each other and to work in concert, like an orchestra, without distributing, without getting stuck, without repeating the same content a lot. And this was the birth of the OAI PMH, and it's an XML protocol. This has nothing to do with us as researchers now. I'm just bringing it up because if you wish to create or to develop a repository at your institution, then you need to check with your IT personnel that they have created or developed an OAI PMH protocol for your repository to get registered, among other repositories, to have the chance to be visible to other repositories. So it's a protocol developed for harvesting metadata, descriptions of records in an archive, so that services can be built using metadata from many archives. This is what OAI PMH is. And why should we have look at that, I'm saying should, a very strong word. Why should we have a repository at our institutions, or a general repository, or any type of repository? And I'm going to take you through types in the following slides. The benefits of open access repositories are, first of all, the openness. Your institution is open. It gets maximum visibility and impact your research. Because if you're just working in your niche, people around you knows what you're doing. But if you have a repository, I can know what you're doing, Lemise can know what you're doing, Paul can know what you're doing, every single colleague out there can access your input or output online. So you've got maximum visibility. You're showcasing your research and the institutional research as well. You're collecting and curating digital outputs at the same time for the institution. This is for the institutional benefit. You are managing and measuring research and teaching activities as an institution. You're providing a workspace for colleagues to collaborate. Okay, so I'm working on, say, for example, as I earlier said, on snake bites in Sudan. And some of you is working on snake bites and antivenom production. I'm interested in producing locally, antivenom locally. You have already started doing that in Nigeria, I think, so we can collaborate when I see your data. So it provides us with a workspace. It enables and encourages interdisciplinary approaches. Someone is working in archaeology, they know a lot of information about the ureas. Ureas are cobras in their language, in their terminology. And I'm interested in the historical perspective and background about the cobra history in the Nile Valley, for example. So we can collaborate, we can exchange ideas, and yeah, this might encourage an interdisciplinary approach. I will do the molecular biology bit, you will provide me with a historical bit, we can adjoin these results, and if we can find like ancient DNA for cobras from the Nile region, so we can like write this paper and publish it, the article. It can facilitate the development and sharing of digital teaching materials. And this, for example, I told you during the last session that we had developed a course about predatory academic activities, and it's in 2 languages. It's in English and in Arabic as well for Arabic speaking researchers. And yeah, I can like share it with you. It's in a repository. It's in a LMS, Learning Management System, that belongs to the Sudanese National Academy of Sciences. I can share it with you. This is a repository. Okay, so I can share it with you to have a look, comment, whatever needs. Talking or generalizing the types, there are 3 common types of digital repositories. The repository can be institutional, and by saying institutional, I mean that it belongs to an institution. Say, for example, University of Khartoum. We have Khartoum Space, which was sadly destructed when we lost the infrastructure at the start of the war. But yeah, this is an institutional repository. It could be a repository at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine that contains, for example, theses produced at the school, plus policies, plus whatever. This is an institutional digital repository. You can have a disciplinary repository, and these are subject-based. Like, say, this is a repository dedicated for all research conducted on COVID-19. So this is a disciplinary or subdisciplinary repository. Or I can say this is a repository dedicated to archaeological research only. So whatever has to do with archaeology can be uploaded here. Other types of repositories are commercial repositories, and I will not focus on this third type. I will focus on both the first ones, the institutional and the disciplinary repositories. When you talk about green route to open access or self-archiving, you're actually talking about institutional or disciplinary repositories. And this is where a researcher like upload or deposit, this is the word in this world. Uploading is called depositing in repositories world. So when you deposit an article you produced or your group had produced in your institutional repository or in a disciplinary repository, this is the green route to open access. I need you to focus on a little information that in the green route, normally the document you're depositing is not the finally published document or the document that is published by the publisher you've submitted the work to, because you need to read the obligations. Sorry? Say again, please.
I think it was just a mic open
All
by
right.
mistake.
Okay, no worries. Okay. So, yeah. So, to differentiate between institutional and disciplinary repositories, an institutional repository is normally limited to those affiliated with the institution. So who can deposit? Only staff members in the institution. But who can see or read the abstract and get to know the title and the authors? Everyone. Okay, so an institutional repository is limited, has limited access to deposit. It's normally developed for staff members only, and it provides free access to research for users outside the institutional community. It's one of the recommended ways to achieve the open access vision published in the Berlin Declaration, in both the BEST initiative and in other declarations or initiatives that has to do with open access. If I'm talking about disciplinary or subject repositories, here I'm talking about research databases containing materials related to a particular subject area. As I mentioned earlier, I'm just interested in repositories that has to do with COVID-19. So these are the repositories. It encourages scholars from multiple institutions to post research in a specific fields of scholarship. And here, there is a very good example of a disciplinary or subject-based repository. It's produced actually by Africa Archive. Have you heard about Africa Archive? Anyone? Do you
Yes,
know about it?
we've been told about it in this training, in the course
All
of this
right.
training.
Okay, thanks. So
Yes, we
Africa
got to hear
Archive,
about it.
say again, please.
We got to hear about it during the training.
All right, okay. So it's a community-led digital archive for African research by Africans and non-Africans researchers. It contains items such as research, manuscripts, reports, datasets, codes, illustrations, presentations, just name it. It enhances the visibility of African research, whether it was produced by Africans or non-Africans. And it enables discoverability and collaboration opportunities for African scientists on the continent as well as globally. And what has Africa Archive been doing? They have been depositing or creating collections. We call them collections in the repository world, again. They have been creating collections for disciplines sometimes, and they have the general repository for everything about Africa or on Africa or by Africans, all right? And last week, no, before Como, last month, not last week, they had this training and they created a collection dedicated for research on COVID-19 that had been created by Africans in Africa, and they are promoting multilingual publications So this is the thing that makes Africa Archive, you know, like for me, it's different from other repositories, but I'm biased. This is because they I'm biased. I love what they are doing. So maybe you need to have a look and decide for yourself whether you like them or not. I'll take you to their website to have a look at how it looks. So this is Africa Archive, and they are saying, let's make African research discoverable. They have different collections. They work on different topics. They do a lot of work on the SDGs, Sustainable Developmental Goals. They have country profiles. They are for African languages and for publishing in local languages, and they are celebrating African languages. They have lots and lots of projects. They have lots of webinars. They have a lot of university presses in Africa. They are decolonizing scientific writing for Africa, and they have lots of initiatives. They have also a very close ties with a website called Access to Perspective. Access to Perspective. And if you go to Access to Perspective, you will find more projects, and they have this podcast. They interview African and non-African scientists as well in their podcast. And both initiatives, or both the repository and the Access to Perspective, are actually developed by Dr. Joanna Havman. They talk about a lot, you know, like open science, career development, health and well-being, and things like that. And as I said earlier, I'm biased. I love the work. So maybe you can have a look and decide for yourself without being influenced by me. The other good thing they're doing, they have good ties with Ubuntu Alliance. Do you know the Ubuntu Alliance? Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah. So in the last month, they had developed this Ubuntu Alliance based collection. So for depositing research about COVID-19 in the repository, and it's been by invitation. You know, not everyone that has worked on COVID-19 can deposit in that collection. It's by invitation. They invite people to deposit there. And I will go back to my presentation. So yeah, so this is Africa Archive. In addition, they had developed this map about open science based on data they collected from the 101 Innovations WordPress.com. And yeah, a link. I have to go back and take you to Como. It's not working. I don't know why. The link. It's Como. Science, yeah, by disciplines. So they had developed also through Access to Perspective this beautiful map, and you can see every single country, African Scientific Journal platforms. If you wish to have a look about open science, you can click on the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, and that will take you to information about how to access this and the URL here. You can click on a country, for example. These countries speak Arabic. You can do whatever you wish to do. This is a great visualization of tools available. For example, here, Think, Check, and Submit, the the tool I talked about in the last session that can help you discover what you need to know when assessing whether or not to publish in a certain journal. And things like that, you know, there are tools like that for visualization. They have developed maps for us to understand what's going on and on and on. So this is Dora Lamis, the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment. And again, it's present in the map in Como, and you can like access it in different languages. And this is the URL to read more about that. So they are doing a lot of great things and initiatives, and yeah, and that's why maybe I'm biased towards what they're doing because they're focusing on Africa and African output and research. And this is the lady behind it all, Joanna Hoffman. She's a friend and a colleague, and yeah, she's doing great work for Africa. If you wish to have a look at other repositories and to check if you have a disciplinary repository, you can check different types of platforms. Say, for example, there is this disciplinary repositories prepared by the Open Access Directory. If you look at the right-hand side, you have this column with the contents. It includes almost all disciplines up to the end of the page, and I'm just bringing here a photo of that. That's why you cannot like see it all. But if you click on life sciences and then you go to bioarchive, biological or biomedical, you can go to the bioarchive at the preprint server for biology, and every single discipline has a lot of examples, I mean, or repositories provided in the OAD that you can just like click on it and you go there. Okay, so this is about one example. Another example, or a repository that includes a lot, or registries that includes a lot of research data repositories, is the re3data.org. And here you can, it's RE3 because it's Registry of Research Data Repositories. So RE. So it's a RE3 data. You can check the data, or you can have a look at what you're interested on. You can browse by country, you can browse by example, by subject, for example. You can just like click on life sciences or humanities or whatever, and every discipline is color-coded with its subdisciplines as well. Okay, so you can check which subject you're interested in, and you can just click on it and see the outcome. You can also browse by content type, whether it's an archive data, audiovisual data, configuration, network-based, whatever. You just check the type, the content type you're interested in, and you can have a look or check or browse the content itself. Another interesting tool that you can use is produced by our research, and our research is a company, by the way, and the tool is called OpenAlex. It's free of charge, and I'm taking you there to have a look. It's just a plain white page. It's an API application, so you search and analyze the world's research. You add whatever you wish to search for. Anyone, any suggestion what we should search for? Any suggestions?
Library automation.
Automation.
Is it in terms of okay? In terms of topic.
Whatever, yeah. Library,
okay.
Automation.
Automation. Okay.
Yeah. Automation. Yeah. Library automation. Yeah, you've got 126, 62, and 500,000 results. 45.1% of them are open access. And it's here classified by years. These are the works or the topics. You can click on any one of them. It will take you to more information about it. And if you wish to get the PDF, you can get it. If you wish to go to another window to look at the HTML, you can go there. It shows the publishing year, the type of it, the source, where they got it from, the author, and the citations, and every single information about it. Let's check the PDF if it works. Yeah, it downloaded it. So now I've got the document. Okay, here you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how it works, the Open Alex, and that's why I love it. You know, like just whatever you're thinking of, you get the results within seconds or fraction of a second even. And look at this. This is one of the more. I mean, it's not. No research have been conducted. You know, there's gap in research regarding this scorpion species. Okay, so I will try this one. Yeah, and they doesn't have the Urias scorpion because I've added it to libraries. They have it, but they have only 6 results, and 66.7% of these works are openly accessed. And if you look at the years, then you will find every year we've got the same maybe number of publications that's being retrieved by the API here. So you got the point, right, about Open Alex, that you can use it to check different research output repositories, and you can get the full article sometimes, but if it's available, otherwise you cannot. And that's why I like it. I like Open Alex, and it's free, 100% free. Yes,
Excuse
sure.
me.
Yeah, sure.
Do I need to sign up before I can use it, or are there any advantages of signing up to this platform, or you just can use it?
I'm just using it. I hadn't signed up. Look at it. I didn't log in. I didn't sign up. It's free, open, everything. I'm not quite sure about the benefits if you sign up, because I'm just using it like that. I didn't need to, honestly. Did I answer? Yeah. So maybe we can check it, but I didn't need to. And they even have this comment in their documentation that is just free. You can just use it like that and things like that. They didn't ask you to sign up to get more benefits. So yeah, I didn't. I'm using it a lot without signing up. So yeah, moving on. If you're interested in dissertations and theses, for example, then there are loads and loads of repositories dedicated to dissertations and theses. There's .Europe, Digital Commons Networks, Electronic Dissertation and Thesis Collection at the University of North Carolina. There's Ethos and other repositories that you can use for accessing theses and dissertations. And I'm just clicking on one of them, the ETD. So yeah, this is the ETD cannot be displayed, but I can go to browse. I can check within the university libraries, other collections. Anyway, so let's go back to our presentation. So there are some different, sorry for that. There are different resources for knowing about or downloading or browsing theses and dissertations. So I'm trying Ethos now. I don't know why it's very slow. Okay, yeah, we're there. It's in the British Library. So you can access these, but this is a paywalled resource. You need to your institution to subscribe, or you to subscribe to get access. Another resource that might be useful for you is Sherpa Romeo and Sherpa Joliet. And this is a JISC initiative. It's a very old one. You can use it to do a lot of things. You can check a funder, for example, policy and terms, TNC's terms and conditions. You can check a journal ISSN, for example. You can check the journal open access policies, institutional open access policies, a publisher, whatever you need to know about a repository, whatever you need to know about the information. You can check agreements, the compliances. You can check a lot of things using the Sherpa Romeo and Juliet resource. It's called Sherpa Services. And you can like opt to go to single services out there, and all of them are free of charge. So if you check, for example, the Romeo, this is, sorry for that. Sherpa Romeo is an online resource that aggregates and analyzes publishers' open access policies. So you can check a publisher policy using Sherpa Romeo. If you are interested in the funder open access policies, you can check it using Sherpa Juliet. And you just add the funder name, for example. Say, for example, Welcome Trust. Welcome Trust. And then I will get sorry. So Bill Gates, I changed the funder. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for example, you can check whether they require open access archiving, requires open access publishing or not, whether they require data archiving, where they reside or where they come from. They come from the USA. And each of these are active links that takes you to more information. So if you click on the name, you can know more about the funder, their website, their identifiers, the DOI, the ROR ID, and I will talk more about the ROR in our next session. You can check their memberships, whether they are membership of certain coalitions, such as the Planes coalition, and you can check the requirements or their obligations to publish your work. So these are useful tools that you can use to check more or to know more about your funder, to know more about your journal that you wish to submit to know more about policies and things like that. There are other repositories, a lot of other repositories out there, and I think I will stop in this slide because we reached time. So there are Figshare, there is Zinudu, there is institutional repositories, and I can talk more about them in our next session, inshallah. So any comments, questions?
Thank you. Quite an insightful and very interesting training. Thank you so much. You can't wait for the next episode.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think all of us have learned a lot, to be honest. And it's really interesting to know that there are almost open repositories for everything you could think of.
Yeah.
Because like for me, my knowledge was that open repositories are either for like just data or articles or thesis. I didn't know that you could also have open repositories for like funders and basically anything you could think of. So this is really, really interesting. Yeah, thank
If
you.
I may just edit it a little bit. I will call it open resources more than open repositories.
Yeah,
because
yeah. I think this should be more accurate.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that. Yeah. So any other comment? Thank you very much for the comments. Other comments, questions? I know it's a lot to take in, but just think about it as just highlighting things you can remember when you need them.
Yeah.
These are some resources that you can use and you can go back to.
So do you have any questions or comments? Yeah, everyone I think is really impressed. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah. Okay, Joseph, please unmute. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. I would like to ask if there is some institution who can help to implement repositories or to support open access infrastructure in a university. I don't know if
I don't know whether I understood the question. You said if you want to implement a repository in the institution?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
As in a university, is there some institution who can help, who can support?
All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there are a lot of experts out there who can help you. You can source it, I mean, like from companies, like there are companies that can help you do it, or you can do what I've done in the University of Khartoum, and I will tell you my experience. What we have done is I've attended this meeting in Nairobi, and people were talking about repositories. I didn't know what they were talking about. So I returned back to my dean faculty and told her that this is happening, and I think this is a good thing to do. And she gave me the green light to start doing this in Sudan. So what I've done is I talked to IT people and told them that there is this open resource FOSS, a free open source platform called DSpace, and it's very easy to like implement or to set up in your servers. One of them, Pioneer Knowing, he started teaching himself, like going into forums, understanding the platform itself. This was the IT personnel who had to set up the program or the platform, and he did it. I started learning and teaching myself on how to deposit, and it's very easy, you know. So, and then I started training others. And I started training librarians and researchers at the same time. I will combine both of them in the same session because I wanted them to transfer knowledge to each other. We tend to have two different communities. Like librarians are secure, they live together, they talk together, they understand each other language, and researchers understand each other languages. We don't mix, and this is problematic in Sudan. So what I've done is like to bring them together in the same session, and I started training them on how to deposit, and they started exchanging with each other. And then we had a lot of trainers in different institutions who had started training others, like to create and deposit repositories. So this is the first logistic leg. The second thing is we needed to scan documents and to upload them into this platform because it means nothing without uploading documents. So I started talking to the higher administration in the university to tell them the importance of this. At the beginning, people were reluctant. There was a lot of resistance to it. But then people in 2012, I think, the university had seen a jump in the rank based on a work I have done. And the head of the networks administration mentioned that in the Senate, in the university, that this jump in the rank was based on two factors. One of them is a staff member at the Faculty of Science doing a pilot project on repositories, and that this helped the ranking of the university. So then people started losing up the resistance against it, and there were meetings and committees, and I was a regular member of every single committee at the University of Khartoum at that time, from 2012 up to 2017. Yeah, so it was like a self-learning process, lots of challenges, lots of obstacles, but we managed to do it. Like, people were believing in what we were doing. And when the war started in 2023, our repository was the first registered from Sudan. It's called Khartoum Space. It contained 25,000 documents. Each document was more than 200 pages. It helped a lot. It became an important asset for the university, if I can say so. And yeah, I'm proud of that. So maybe this will give you a glimpse of how it was for us. We didn't know how to do it. We didn't have the technical know-how, but we started doing it, and it's not that difficult. There are a lot of assistance online. There are a lot of forums that can help you and your IT personnel and the librarians at your institution. There are out-of-the-box platforms that you can use. You can just have a look at online, and the community is really supportive and helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The real problem is how to host the repository, because we have a lot of financial difficulty to buy servers and so on, and pay information technologies and so on. How to be financially supportive to have server, because we wanted to have our own repository. I mean, CISORA repository in our university, but we face a very important difficulty of financial difficulties.
Okay, in Khartoum University, we started with $4,000 grant from the Electronic Information for Librarians, the EIFL. Okay, so I applied for that, and I got it for the first year. I used it to build the pilot institution repository, and I applied for next year and used it to train other institutions, librarians, and scientists, researchers on the usefulness of this, on how to deposit and how to implement things. And yeah, it's 8,000 now, $8,000. And then we have our own servers. Up to that time, I was not hosted in the servers at the university. I was hosted in Paris in a cloud server. But starting from 2015, I think, we started hosting it at the university servers. So maybe you can write a project proposal to funders out there. There are a lot of organizations and bodies that will help you, because this is, EIFL will definitely help you. In addition, UNESCO, if they have a grant for something like that, you can apply for that. You can also try, others, like all Plan S funders, check their websites if they have a call or something, because Plan S funders are dedicating their funds to open access and open science initiatives, you know. So maybe you can like write a brilliant proposal and ask one of them to help you establish the repository. And maybe later on you can check with businessmen at your country, because this will help people.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're definitely welcome.
Actually, from your what you just said, Rania, I think maybe it would be also very important for us to show our institutions and universities what
Yes.
these repositories can do for them. Because I think
Exactly.
you said that this was the turning point.
Yes.
So I think this is something we should focus on, and just like talking to politicians and every stakeholders, you
Yes,
have
yes.
to tell them like what is the benefit for them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think this is something very important that all of us have to think of, also regarding open science in general. What when we're trying to convince our institutions, we need to show them like what they will get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. At the start, I was doing everything myself. Even scanning, you know, the documents, I had my own personal over-the-bench scanner, and I used to scan the documents and upload them. But in 2020 something, I mean, after 2015, 2017, things has changed dramatically. This became one of the most important assets for the university. Look at this, from being negatively regarded to being one of the important assets, and to being given, I mean, I have been brought to be the head of the department who had created everything, the founding head of the digital department at the University of Khartoum. And they were providing everything to us to make it, you know, because they realized the importance of what we were doing. But at the beginning, it was really difficult. So you need to like convince people about the benefits they will get, for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also expect resistance and be
Exactly, yeah.
prepared for it.
Yeah.
So I think this is also important. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So does anyone else have a question or a comment? So if no, I think there is a question. Okay, so I think we really thank you very much, Rania. Your talks are always like, as I always say, like they hit the bullseye on things that we really need in Africa. Yeah, and we're really looking forward for the next session.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Thank you,
You take care,
Rania.
everyone.
And thank you for staying overtime,
Thank you
everyone.
very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Ernest
Bye.
have a question.
Okay, yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
Rania. Yeah.
No worries.
Good morning to everyone.
Morning.
I want to ask the facilitator if we are free to consult her in setting up our repository anytime. If we are free to consult you,
yeah, sure.
in setting up of
Yeah,
our
sure.
repository.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So please make your links available so we can contact you.
Okay. I'll send you my email.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, that's my email.
All right. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining and staying 30 minutes more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.